Hey Transformers fans, welcome back. Here with another video review, this time taking a look at the newly released or recently released studio series Deluxe-class Autobot Jazz. Was glad to have found this guy at actually TFCon last weekend in Toronto. Was a great show. I'm going to do a separate video on my experiences at TFCon this year, but yeah, I was pretty happy to find this guy at the show. I know that I could probably have found him at retail pretty soon, but he was there, and I just picked him up because I found him on a pretty good price. So yeah, let's take a look at him. First thing, let's take a look at the box. Pretty standard Studio Series packaging, as I'm sure you've probably seen. Nice picture of Jazz there. Transformers. Cool action shot of Jazz on the side with his weapon. Taking a look at the back, you've got your Jazz in his robot mode. You've got Jazz in his Pontiac Solstice vehicle mode, which has always been a nice looking car. I always like that car. It's always pretty cool. Some of the other deluxes from the line. Does come with his battle diorama scene. Another shot of Jazz's face on the side. And as you can see, he's number 10 from the line. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the packaging, so we'll get that out of the way. And here is teeny tiny little Autobot Jazz. And yeah, he really is small, but he's a great figure. And I don't have any problems with the fact that he is small, given the fact that he's designed to scale with the rest of the figures that are in the line and be proportional to the other characters. And he was small in the movie, so that's totally fine with me. But you know what? They really made up for his small size in the detail, in the sculpting. I mean, looking at the head sculpt, you can see that this is probably one of the best Jazz head sculpts we've ever seen. It's very, very cool, even though it is tiny. He's got the frosted kind of plastic visor. The paint apps are really solid. There's lots of metallic paint all over him. The vehicle mode is cool. His articulation is great. You can get him in lots of neat poses. I mean, yeah, overall, yeah, he's a small figure, but they pack a lot of fun into a figure this size. He does come with this movie accurate blaster, and there's a couple of different things that you can do with it. You can put it in his left hand. It's got a standard 5mm peg with a hole there. You cannot do that on this side because he's got kind of the claw fingers on this hand. But what they did was actually really cool. With this particular weapon accessory, they actually have a slot at the back, and when you fold his hand in, there's a little tab on the end of his hand, and you can actually plug this on the end of his hand so that, just like in the movie, it's kind of coming out of his arm, transforms out of his arm to form his blaster. So that's pretty cool that they did that. And you can do that on either of his hands. Both of his hands have that little tab on the inside. One of the things that I do want to call out, and I didn't notice this until somebody else, I think on Twitter or maybe Instagram or something, posted a picture of it, but there's a right way and a wrong way to orient his blaster. And I didn't really know this because you see it's got the 5mm peg there on the bottom, so you'd think that he would hold it like that. But actually, if you look at the scenes in the movie, he actually has it so that these sort of pointy bits of his shield are at the top. So he actually holds it like that. So you're going to have the post sticking up when you have it in his right hand, or you can actually peg it in on the bottom of his other hand and still have it oriented in the right way. But I did check out a screenshot of the movie, and whoever commented that, putting it this way is wrong is correct. I mean, that is not the way that he has it in the movie. He has it like that. So that's how I'm going to have mine displayed from now on. But yeah, it's a cool little accessory. It does need some paint. It's got some kind of platinum-y color paint on the blaster tips there, which is cool. But otherwise, it's just this kind of dull gray plastic. So I'll probably paint that up shiny silver so that it matches the rest of his finish. But yeah, that's his accessory. Oh, and it does fold like that. I'm assuming that that's for storage. I think that's for storage in his vehicle mode. It just kind of clips on the back of the spoiler, so I'll show that off when I do vehicle. But yeah, other than that, I mean, you got to get more of a detail of the figure. It's got the cool headlights, Pontiac logo on the front, even though this car doesn't exist anymore. They don't make them. The finish is really nice. He does have a bit of a backpack, but that's okay. legs. He does have these really cool ankle tilts, which allow you to get into a lot of really neat action poses, which is cool. And he's got these big heel spurs, so he's very stable when you get him set up. Yeah, it's very, very cool figure. Some of the parts, you know, when you look at the shins and parts of his legs and stuff, is again the same sort of dull gray plastic that this is. So I might actually paint that up using some metallics just to give him a little bit more accuracy. But overall, I mean, he's pretty detailed. Like he's a nice little figure, lots of paint apps, and I like it. Just to give you some ideas of scale, because you know he is a little bit tiny, but I will show him off next to some other figures in my collection from the Studio Series line, so you can kind of get an idea of how he scales. So there's Jazz, little Jazz. Focus. Here he is next to one of his Autobot friends, Autobot Ratchet. And here he is next to, and that's the Studio Series Ratchet. And then here he is next to Studio Series Stinger. So you can see that Ratchet is taller than Stinger, Stinger is taller than Jazz. So the three of them look pretty good together. Getting those guys out of the way. You can kind of see here he is next to Starscream, and Starscream is a big Voyager compared to some of the other Voyagers that we've had recently of other lines. But you can see that they scale pretty well together. Because Jazz was obviously a lot smaller than Starscream. And then this comparison, I think, is interesting because there's Jazz next to the Studio Series Megatron, which as you can see, I've heavily repainted this guy. You can check out my other video that I talk about the original figure when I unboxed him, and I also did a video covering sort of what I did in terms of the paint app. So if you're interested in learning more about this figure, check that out. But as you can see, like these two scale really well together. You can definitely get an impression that, yeah, this guy, as he did in the movie, could grab Jazz and rip him in half. So that works really good. You know, it's just a really nice scale. I mean, these two work great together. So that's pretty cool. Transformation's pretty simple on this guy. It's not overly complicated, but you know, it's pretty fun. The first thing that you probably want to do is pretty easy, just fold his head down, tuck that away. The next thing that I would do is rotate the front. You kind of pull that out and give it a rotate around, and it just pops in. And then just kind of get his arms out of the way. And then fold up his backpack like that. And then this is a pretty snug fit, but it actually keeps him very solid. And just sort of pull the two halves of them. There's a hinge here. Just pull that apart, and then you can kind of see it like folds out. Now this is where you're going to want to take the entire front section and rotate it 180 degrees, just like that. So it actually does kind of spin around in transformation like it does in the movie, which is pretty cool. At this point, I usually fold in the hands because they got to tuck in like that. And we'll do the arms sort of towards the end. For the back end of the car, just fold the spoiler out and it kind of pops into place. And then fold in his heels. And then for his legs, you just fold the feet down kind of all the way like that. And then this sort of accordions or collapses up like that. And then pops in. You'll see there's tabs and everything in there. And these fold like this all the way around and pop in. Same thing with these ones, to fold all the way around and pop in, just like that. Now, oh, actually, I kind of got a little bit ahead of myself here. So these, actually, you want to just leave those out for a little bit. Makes it easier to fold in the arms. So these just kind of collapse down like that. And then you'll see these are on almost a triple hinge on the inside there. So everything kind of folds up like that. It's hard to show it on camera how it works, but once you get it in hand, it's pretty intuitive how that folds in. And then you just kind of tab in. There's a tab on the inside of the door that tabs in underneath the panel there. And this is where things kind of get a little bit finicky, because as you've probably seen in some of the other reviewers' videos, some of the panel tolerances and the quality control on this guy aren't the best. It's some things just don't fit in as well as they should. And my guy, unfortunately, is sort of no exception to that. Things just don't tab in 100%. They kind of, you'll get panel lines and separation, but so there's Jazz generally, you know, there's Jazz in his vehicle mode, which is a nice, slick looking little sports car. I really like it. The finish, like I said, is really good. It's that nice shiny silver. The headlights are translucent. You know, got the paint there. The grille looks really good. Coming around to the side, you can see you got a little bit of paint on the vent there. The wheels aren't painted. They're kind of molded in this, like, it's almost like a browny plastic, which is weird. So I'll probably throw some silver paint on the rims and some flat black on the tires to make that look a little bit better. Coming around to the back, nice spoiler, red taillights. Windows are kind of molded in that little bit of a blue tint plastic, which looks really cool. I think it's the same plastic as on the headlights. But yeah, as you can see, both sides of my Jazz are not, like, that's way too much of a gap. Like, that shouldn't be there. And I have seen, I can't remember where I saw it, but I have seen some people posting about that there is a way to fix that. I'm not sure if it involves, you know, maybe shaving some plastic off the tabs or whatever. I know that there is a way to fix it. I have to do some research and figure out what it is, but yeah, so I will probably do that. And as I mentioned, his weapon, you know, if you fold up that piece, you can store his weapon. Just kind of tuck this little tab on the bottom here underneath the spoiler, and it can be held on like that. I mean, why you'd want to do that, I don't know, but at least it keeps it from getting lost. So, but there's Jazz in his vehicle mode, and I think it's a pretty cool little sports car. I like it a lot. Sorry, I didn't focus there. Yeah, so that's my look at Studio Series Jazz. It's kind of a quick one, but hope you enjoyed it. You know, I appreciate you tuning in. You know, by all means, you know, would really appreciate it if you'd let me know in the comments what you thought. You know, give me a share, give me a like, give me a subscribe. I would appreciate any of that. Yeah, so I appreciate you tuning in, and I will be back at you soon with another review. So thanks very much, and have a great day. Talk to you later.